We are live. Valentine, good to see you again. Good to talk to you.
Hi, Johan. It's amazing that we've made it happen, and I'm really glad that we're here. And hello, everyone, and well, thanks for watching us.
You need very little introduction. You're an OG. You've been around for a couple of years, but how would you introduce yourself? What would you say to people?
Oh, I would say that I'm a constant experimentator. If, so I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur from Bucharest, Romania. I've built 4 companies. I have an amazing wife, which is so supportive, and 2 kids and 2 dogs in the meantime, and an amazing team that helps me to empower companies to become customer centric and increase their conversion rates and customer lifetime value by using our technologies that we've crafted in the last 11 years.
So, if we fast forward a little bit, you've just, well, not just, a few months ago, you published this book, and it's about, well, I'll let you tell what the book is about.
Yeah,
Why did you decide to write the book, and what is it about?
yeah. To be honest, that's the book, by the way. It's the CLV Revolution.
I've
I
got it on here.
Super. So, so what I discovered is that many companies accelerated growth on their e-commerce and their websites by doing constant experimentation and A/B testing, and we were an A/B testing vendor as well. By discovering with real customers, with their real struggles, I've seen that, you know what, lifetime value kept showing up as a metric which is important and which was hard to tackle. And also the companies that we've been working for had multiple channels, so not only the website. So at that moment, I've started to investigate, to work with different companies, and we've managed to move the needle. I mean, the first company that we worked with, it was a shoe retailer, 30% uplift in their lifetime value, in the lifetime value of the newly acquired cohorts in 6 months of work. And I've made the math with them, and they were amazed as well. And we've said, wow, but that's more impactful than conversion rate, because we reached a plateau in the conversion rate and A/B testing, whatever. It's so many things that you could do with the UI and UX, to be honest. And if you don't have like gazillions of visitors, you can't really move the needle that much so that you can justify, I don't know, 10, 20K a month, the agency fees, or the employees and the technology, and the cost of testing is not that small, to be honest. So we managed to discover this thing, and then after this all these years, it was like a lucky strike. And it was in that anecdote. We have an anecdote here in Romania about bad luck, but I will share with you afterwards. So at the same time, Google Optimize became a very solid solution, because it used to be Google Website Optimizer. It was a total crap, but then it had a new facelift. It allowed you to do something like 4 experiments, and we were struggling to move the needle in terms of distribution, because we've been an A/B testing and conversion rate optimization tool, but our offering was paid. I mean, we are not Google. We can't afford to throw some free tools which are that significant in terms of costs and initial investment to the world. So we've said we have to do something. So at the same time, we've got this external rough market conditions. We've discovered that lifetime value is something that is worthy for our customers, and we've decided to focus on e-commerce and retailers, and to continue to do this type of CVO, like customer value optimization services. And then we crafted the CVO Academy. I teamed up with a few bright minds on this planet. I've understood a lot about lifetime value. I became obsessed about it. And at some point, I kept on training agency partners. I kept on hearing the questions over and over again. And I said, why wouldn't I aggregate all this knowledge into something like a manual, something like a practitioner's guide to improve lifetime value in e-commerce? So that's how I've decided to write the book, and it was back in 2022. And 2 years after, The book is published. It was an emotional roller coaster. It was the hardest project that I've had to do, because as an entrepreneur, you do things with the help of others. If you're an entrepreneur or not a solopreneur, you are good at delegating. You inspire people, you make them enthusiastic, you select the right ones, and then you let them fly. And you keep on cheering them from the sidelines. But when you're alone with this book, and you don't know what the world is going to think about it, because it was an uncharted territory. So thank God, a few of my readers said the good things about it. Some of them even posted their reviews. I've got very good feedback, and I'm a bit relieved, to be honest. But before launching it, man, it was like that imposter syndrome. It was all over me. It was, yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little bit, if we have time at the end, more about that process of writing a book. And by the way, if you're listening to this live, you can post your questions for Valentine. We'll get to them throughout the conversation at the end, or we'll weave them in. CLTV or CLV, customer lifetime value. How do you define that? What is it in practical, simple to understand terms?
Yeah. So for everyone, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's an average, to be honest, and to start with, it's an average figure. So basically, it takes into account the projected profit per customer down the line, according to everything that happened or whatever period you've took into account from your database. So looking at all your customers, what kind of profit would you be generating down the line? And it takes into account, let's say, the purchase frequency, so how many orders per customer, the customer retention rate, so how many of your customers remained your customers in that analyzed period. And it takes into account the gross margin per customer, or AOV minus the COGS. So basically, that's what customer lifetime value is. The traps of a customer lifetime value model is that it's not set in stone. So in retail and e-commerce is that, in software it's a different, there are all sorts of formulas. The beauty of it is that if it's, let's say, not fantastically accurate, it allows you to see the trend. So even if your lifetime value model is not let's say completely accurate, you could still see the trend, because if it's wrong, it's consistently wrong. Like I had the chat with Simo Ahava, I don't know, years ago, when we were both younger. So that's what customer lifetime value is.
So it's this projected value. So it's a value you associate or you attribute to your customers today, but looking into the future. Yeah.
Exactly. If you acquire a new customer today, according to what happened in the past, what is the expected gross margin per each of those customers? Why do I say gross margin? Because it's a nightmare to extract the net margin per customer. Why don't I say revenue? Because at least you should be eliminating the things which are easy to eliminate, so that you can measure apples to apples.
How often do you think teams actually pay attention to this metric? I mean, something like conversion rate and AOV, revenue per user, that sort of metric comes up a lot. Is CLV, does it receive enough attention?
For sure, not enough attention from my perspective, but I don't know. Hard times will force companies to become way more rigorous with their math, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, you need an as accurate model as possible. Because if you neglect profitability per customer when you do marketing, when you launch some products, when you do whatever you do, then you are neglecting if you can be profitable down the line. So it's in the old days, when a lot of money have been thrown at e-commerce, to be honest. I mean, it's the spoiled child that never delivered, to be honest, for many large retail companies. For some it did, but for most of them hasn't yet. And that means right now, with a customer lifetime value model, you'll be in a position to, let's say, invest consciously and to know what you should be expecting from the market. And if you look at the digital marketing world, we've started with I don't know, cost per CPM, and then CPC, and then CPA, cost per action, and then ROAS, and then POAS, and now is customer lifetime value. Even Google activated like 1 year ago their value-based bidding model. So it's clear that you need to look on the long term. You shouldn't be falling into the trap of looking at the first transaction only, because it's too expensive, and many companies will go out of business if they wouldn't be playing their game properly. So I think customer lifetime value is gaining traction, and more companies will focus on that.
And then in your book, you talk about, so you've got the segmentation. So you've got the CLTV, the customer lifetime value for your entire customer base, but that's not enough, right? You want to slice it up a little bit. How do you think about that? You talk about RFM analysis, for example, which is also a common technique. Can you talk us through the practicalities as a practitioner? How would we think this through?
Yeah. So again, as I said earlier, mind the trap of the averages, right? So I'm not a fan of the averages, and that's why you need to break things into components. So you need to understand, okay, that's the average customer lifetime value. Contrast is the one that creates the value, right? So if you don't put it in contrast, you can't create the value, and that means we have to look to break the customer lifetime value by various aspects. For instance, what is the customer lifetime value by the regions, or by the city, or by the segment of customers, or by the traffic source, or I don't know, by the brands that you are selling. So these type of things are the ones that you should be taking into account. And when you segment the customer lifetime value by various attributes, you will end up saying a lot of ahas, because you end up realizing that, hey, not all the customers are created equal. Hey, our best customers are, I don't know, coming from buying this product first. For instance, if you buy this product, which has the same average order value, you end up with the lifetime value, which is 4 times higher. So why you should be investing the same amount as in product B? Or you end up seeing that some channels are more lucrative than the others. So at the end of the day, any metric that is allowing you to take better actions, it's a good metric. But we are seeing that there is this reluctance to change the ways, because I don't know, if it works, why should I fix it? We have this saying in here in Romania. But now that we are seeing that things are not working anymore, we should be coming up with this model. And the model takes into account this metric, and then is broken down by various variables like segment, brand, product, SKU, whatever. And then it's like you have fireworks in your brain. Once you look at, for instance, every time we are presenting the insights with our tool Reveal, our customers, after starting a trial, in the onboarding call, they are always like, wow, I haven't knew that. I don't know, just today I had a call with the company selling OTCs, like an online drugstore, and they were like, oh, and we haven't been aware that those customers are so profitable. I mean, the ones which were selling a certain brand were having their lifetime value, which was 3 times higher than the average. So, but they allocated, guess what, the same type of marketing budget. So there are many things that you could realize just by looking at an RFM analysis.
Okay, so that's a good practical point to explore a little bit further. So that's one. It's an example of the kind of insight that you can pull out of CLV analysis. There's a customer segment that buys a particular brand, and they turn out to be more profitable than the average. How do you act on that? What do you do with that?
Yeah, one way is to simply change your bids, because if you can afford to pay 3 times more than your competition and they are not aware of that, they will lose money and you don't. So basically, you can eliminate the toxic products, the ones that, I don't know, they don't generate a higher lifetime value. Maybe you have also a lot of returns on that brand or product, and you have some very lucrative products where I don't know, if you have a lifetime value of $1,000 and you have the AOV of $200, that means the expansion, the residual CLTV is 5 times more. And you have other products where it's only 1 time more or 1.2 times more. So your CAC, your customer acquisition cost, could be 5 times higher. Then you will outpace your competition completely. Maybe some will notice, maybe some will don't, but you are playing the long-term game and they are playing the short-term game. So you can exclude the products that are toxic, focus on your winners, because, for instance, another insight, on average, on retailers having more than 1,000 SKUs, 70% of their margin is coming only from 50 of their products. Like, picture this, and they do the same thing. I mean, they push the feed to all the marketing channels, they do the same thing, and there are these small tweaks, low effort, high impact, that you can do right away. It's not like you should be doing complicated customer journeys and so on. That's what I love about this CLV model, because you can instantly flip some buttons over there, some toggles, and it's working better. And once it's working better, then the brand allows you to do the juicy and sexy things like in-depth customer research on your best customers, because it's also the psychology behind the buying, right? The purchase behavior. Another use case, for instance, you get your best customers through RFM, recency, frequency, monetary value. The best ones are called the soulmates. Yeah, that's how we call them, the ones that are amazingly profitable. So you do this in-depth analysis on them. You find out what they say it's the main driver for them to buy. And then after you do this in-depth customer research through interviews, you expand this with a quantitative approach to validate on the entire database, on all the other RFM segments, how those reasons are being distributed. So then you can find out the lifetime value by reason to buy. And that means your campaigns and your ads and your email campaigns, everything could be crafted towards what's working. And that's another use case of this model.
Yeah, I mean, that's really amazing. I mean, that's magic. That's really powerful. Is segmenting it down to that behavioral, that psychological element. And this is now we'll give you a bit of a free promo here. So this is all available in Reveal, which is part of OmniConvert, which is the software that you have. And I encourage people who are interested to get in touch with Valentine to get a demo, to look at that. You talk about a free trial, so
Yeah.
I'm sure that's possible as well. If people don't have that tool, how do you calculate LTV?
It's basically some data work, but it's not the end of the world. The problem is that you do a snapshot, you find how much it is, and then you can't track it. To be honest, that's one of the most important, the most sticky features of us, because we refresh the data and we come up with these insights. How you do it? You get your entire database, you download it, and then you find out the purchase frequency, which is simple. How many customers over how many orders over how many customers. It can be 2.3, whatever it is, and that's the purchase frequency. Then you get the gross margin. You have to have the gross margin for the products, and to find out, okay, these customers have generated that gross margin in the last year. And then you find out the gross margin per customer, and then you look at the customer retention. So you look at and there is a difference between repeat purchase rate and customer retention, which basically you need to look at the customers at the end of the period minus the customers that you acquired over the customers that you initially had. That's the customer retention. That's what you're looking for, not the repeat purchase rate, which means how many customers placed more than one order. over the total number of customers. So basically, the terms are purchase frequency, average gross margin per customer, and the customer lifespan, which is 1/1 minus the customer retention rate. So you do the math, you calculate it, and you have a snapshot. After you have that, you'll be in a position to know, you know what, that's our customer lifetime value. But then you will come up with ideas. What's the lifetime value by, if they've start their journey with product A, what's the lifetime value down the line? And we've found all these things, and basically we've put everything we've learned into this product, which is so far is the masterpiece of what we've built so far. So in my 22 years of entrepreneurship, that's the best, the most valuable and impactful tool that I've done. Because, and I think that's I can now share this with you and your audience, Johan. We've discovered a few months ago, to be honest, something that we weren't aware of, which is that you can do experimentation in real life and you can be statistically significant with these changes. And let me tell you the backstory. So one of our customers that ran experiments, improved the lifetime value in e-commerce, he got promoted and he became the director of innovation on a large retailer. And he said, you know what, but why don't we do these experiments in omnichannel on all these stores? And how the tests were being run before. They've decided that once per quarter, they are running an experiment in a sample of 20 stores. And then they haven't been able to do the math because there was no tool available. But we have access to all their customers, to all the loyal customers and so on. So we've been able to extract behavior patterns online and offline by customer, because they had an usage rate of their loyalty card of 60-something%, which was very good, right? So they've said, we want to run a test because we have a lot of suppliers which are tricking us into adding new products. For instance, they had toilet papers, which were very big. You know, I mean, if you consider the space, the real estate into a large retailer, it's pretty big. You know, you put low value items and that get a lot of real estate. And they thought, we have 10 brands. Each of those 10 brands, they have peach flavor, whatever toilet papers. And they keep on eating up our space, but we could sell hand creams, which are way more profitable for us. And the test for them was, what if we shrink the size allocated to these toilet papers and put there the cosmetics, which are way more lucrative because they have this KPI, which is profit per square meter, because they pay rent, right? Like everyone else. So they've made this aha moment to us. And now we are in a position to run experiments like you select 50 stores, which are in the control group, and then another 50 stores that look like that one. You select the goal, which the goal could be lifetime value. It can be revenue, it can be profit, it can be number of customers, whatever. And then you let the experiment run. I mean, in those 50 or 20 or 10 stores, which are big enough, you run this experiment. And then you can monitor post experiment, you can monitor the impact in loyalty, in the category. Have I sold less toilet paper? Were the ones from the brand that I've excluded have migrated? Is it more profitable for me? Am I selling more cosmetics because I've moved them over there? So you can now change a lot of things. Another experiment they ran is with the these small magnets on the fridge, you know, with the QR code. They wanted to hand them to their customers and to see what is the impact in the loyalty of those customers from a control group of stores over the other. So I think the beauty of experimentation is that we take what we've learned into CRO and we will expand on different channels. So this is what is going to happen, because to be honest, in retail, the big money are still in real life, in brick and mortar.
Now, that's amazing. So you and the data, does it come from the point of sale? Do you integrate?
Yeah.
Do you pull that into your system? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Valentine, you spoke briefly about repurchase rate and retention rate and the difference between those two. Now, there's a bit of a debate, I guess, about acquisition versus retention. And so maybe there are three camps. There's one camp that says, well, both are of equal value. Then there's the camp that says, retention, 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 because it's a lot cheaper to sell to existing customers. And then you get the camp, I think, spearheaded by Byron Sharp. It says,
Yeah.
well, actually, retention is overrated. You're going to continue to add more customers to the top of the funnel.
Yeah.
Based on the data that you've looked at, how do you reflect on that? What are your views?
Yeah. So first of all, I love Byron Sharp's work, and I think he's amazing. But the use cases that he's coming up with are from companies that A were from 2008 and 9, B were coming from brands, not from retailers, and C were some companies which were very well established. So if you have an existing brand, you have to keep on acquiring customers for sure, because otherwise you are flatlining. But the reality is that it depends on what you're selling. So of course, without coming up with fresh blood in the system, you can't survive. Eventually, there is a natural decay. There is no company on this planet with 100% customer retention rate. It's impossible. People are dying. I mean, if not anything about the product, people are going to disappear from this planet. So what I'm saying is that you have to acquire customers and you also have to retain them. So nobody says stop acquisition, but customer value optimization means acquire the best customers, treat them properly, look at the onboarding, look at the chances to place the next order depending on what they are buying, because now we have all this data, folks. It's not like in the 80s or 90s where you had strangers coming up picking up things from the shelf. So once you have known customers, you can track them, you can use those behavior patterns. And another thing is it's also dependent on what's the how fast or slow moving is the good that you're selling. Because in a slow moving consumer good company, what can you do about the customer retention? I mean, it's going to happen in 7 years if you're selling, e-bikes or mattresses or whatever. It's clear that to rely solely on retention, it's crazy. But if what you're selling has a purchase frequency of 9, 10, even 12, like Starbucks has 33 purchase frequency. So it is there in the math. You can look at the data of any company and you can build scenarios and you can model the data predictively and see what's going to happen if I will stop acquiring customers. Yeah, so let's say I'm adding 10% new customers every year, or if I'm not going to retain 10% of my customer base. And guess what? You have 80% of your revenue coming from returning customers and 20% from new customers. So guess what? So basically it's all in the data, and those type of interpretations I think are harming the entire marketing world, because it's not or it's and acquisition and retention. You have to acquire the right customers, keep them, make them happy, turn them into promoters. End of story. That's the flywheel. Yeah, you can't not acquire customers, you can't not retain customers if you are into an industry where purchase frequency is so high.
Valentine, we've got 5 minutes or so left. What what are you hearing back from readers? What is it about the book that they love? The question really I'm asking you is why people who are listening to this should be buying the book. But let's use our customer lens and
Yeah.
try and paint it through what you hear back from customers.
Yeah, so I got a lot of good feedback from readers, but the best would be the reviews on Amazon that says it's all. So I don't know, game changer if you are looking to boost customer value and long-term success. I've heard that it's a practical book and it's a good idea to focus on a practical book rather than the I don't know it. I've read a lot of books myself, so I've heard about a lot of books talking about the principles, but not giving you, okay, and what do I do next? So basically, I've put it's step by step. How do you do prevention? What do you do? How to run surveys? How to do the segmentation? How to analyze the RFM segment? So it's everything here. So I think that's the most important thing. Is coming from a practitioner. I'm not an academic by no means, even though I love academics. I have a lot of good friends in the academic environment, but the idea is that in the real world, this type of theoretical approach is not working, because when your CMO is on your back and says that, hey, we need to reach this goal, you have to come up with something, and that's what I've tried to do. I've tried to come up with practical insights, and I've tried to make peace between the marketing world and the financial world, which I think those two need a bridge, because the CFOs and the CMOs must team up once and for all, because they work for the same companies, by the way.
Yeah, that is such an important point. And that's something that we don't talk enough about in the industry, is how to involve the CFOs and the FDs and the financial people. So I really enjoyed the book. It is, I love the work of Peter Farder. But that is very technical. It's very theoretical, and you've done a good job you can see the hard-won knowledge and the experience from the trenches. And the last question I can't help myself squeezing in. You wrote this book in how long? Was it a year or a couple of months? What was it?
Yeah, a year and a half, to be honest. And I've updated some aspects, by the way. So I produced some case studies and I replaced the old ones because of my practical experience.
And what was your secret? How did you approach it? Did you write every day? What was your process?
Yeah, so I work with the company which is gone now. It's called Scribe Media. It's the same company that has been used by David Goggins, that crazy guy. And they allocated me an editor. So basically, I work with that guy. We've made like 18 2 hours meetings. He extracted things, and he allowed me not to be so cryptic, because that's the trap. When you know too much, you can't say things into the let's say a straightforward way.
If somebody wants to write a lot, whether it's a book or daily on social or blogs or whatever, what's your, having been through this, what's your best advice?
Yeah, I think it's begin with the end in mind. So it's why do I want to do this? And the book for me, it's my way to share with the world the shortcuts that I found, because at the end we all have to contribute. And I have this. I thought that if I'm not doing this, there are a lot of people which are banging their heads into walls without knowing that there is a door right there. And I think if you are passionate enough, and if you know that you are writing because there is a higher goal and it's part of your identity pact, you have to have a contract with yourself. And for me, it was a contract that I've signed with myself. I've said, I must have this book. I must see it here. It's not in the best form. I would have rewrote it. I'm not pleased with the cover, but this is gone already. I mean, it's at the end of the day, if people find value in it, that's fine with me. So in order to get into this habit of writing every day, I think you have you need to know your why. Like Simon Sinek keep on telling to the world, what's your why, and then do the work. I mean, it's without effort there is no reward to reap.
Valentine, it's always fun to talk to you. I learn a lot from you, and you're an inspiration. You not just in terms of what you achieved in the industry, the tool that you've built, the knowledge that you've now put out there, but also just your journey as an entrepreneur. I think there's a lot that we can learn from you. It's a pleasure. Best of luck. See you soon.
Thank you, Johan. All the best from Bucharest.